So we want to thank you all for coming tonight and supporting the students and keep the promise. Thank you so much. That being said, I would like to welcome the director of this performance, Fred B.
This performance of 1001 Black Inventions is something that you may wonder about. Where does this play come from? This play was written about 30 years ago. If you can imagine, the gentleman who was mentioned, Percy Freeman, is the author of this play. And he was asked by others if his play could be performed. So this is a play that is specifically about Black inventions and performed not only during Black History Month, but has won national and international acclaim. By the time you leave the performance in theater this evening, you're going to be amazed at everything that you've learned about Black inventions. It's something that you're going to be able to understand not only cognitively, but emotionally as well, because all these inventions have impacted your lives. Thank you for coming and enjoy the performance.
"1001 Black Inventions." It is not the vast impact on humankind that makes these discoveries so amazing. What truly tilts the imagination is that the worldwide effects of Black ingenuity, although well documented, strangely lacks recognition in the forefront of the annals of world history. But tonight, we are going to rewrite that book and make certain that our intellectual accomplishments occupy their proper places in the front page of history, not the back. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we present to you proof that our foremost contributions to the world are of the intellect, the eighth wonder of the technological world, the contraption. All right, machine, what did Black inventors invent?
Coffee, aspirin, tetracycline, and castor oil. Fuses, vaccinations, and mathematical equations, computer circuitries, the fire extinguisher, and the bow and arrow, the fountain pen, the boomerang, and martial arts.
All right, machine, you're so smart. Tell me this. Who performed the first successful open heart surgery? heart surgery. His name was Dr. Daniel Hale Williams.
It's my husband. He's having a heart attack. Oh, but I'm not worried because in 1897, Dr. Daniel L. Williams performed the first successful open heart surgery. Thanks to the surgical technique, heart operations, a common affair, so I just get an ambulance.
No, Gene, just wait, hold me. Hold me and listen, it's too late. Remember when I told you those guys robbed me and took all my money? They never robbed me. I lost your $500. I would have told you, baby, but I was too embarrassed.
That's okay, my African king. You've been a good husband. I still love you.
Remember when the mortgage company foreclosed on our house and threw us out on the street? I found out later that I mailed the rent check to the wrong address. They never got it. I would have told you, but I'm too embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed.
That's okay, my African moonbeam. You're only human. I still love you.
There's more. Remember that cat you love so much? It didn't run away. I ran over it. I would have told you, baby, but I was too embarrassed. I'm so ashamed. I'm so ashamed.
No need to be ashamed. No need to worry. Because Daniel Williams performed the first successful open heart surgery. By the way, this is no heart attack. It's poison. I would have told you, but I was too embarrassed. Yes, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams performed the first successful open heart surgery, but there were many who claimed he didn't perform surgery at all. They swore he performed a miracle. Well, he performed his greatest miracle when he made a hospital out of nothing.
Here, kitty. Emma, did you see the cat? It must have slipped by me while I was examining my reports.
Up all night again.
Emma, I am in no mood for your unfounded accusation this early in the morning.
Who's bucket?
Obviously, the hospitals.
And who left it there?
Obviously, some barbarian who doesn't clean up after himself.
Dr. Dan, your stubborn dedication has been the foundation of Providence. A Negro hospital, one of the most efficient hospitals in the country. You are its chief surgeon, its chief floor cleaner.
Emma, I appreciate your concern. I'd appreciate it even more if I needed it.
Then go right ahead. Scrub the floors. It does my heart good to see you putting your medical degree to such good use. Why do you do this? Why do you constantly push and punish yourself this way?
Well, I learned, Emma. My father taught me a long time ago that human ability is without boundaries. What you deem as pushing and punishing is simply a sample of one man exercising a small fraction of his total capability. If I choose to put this hospital on my back, even with your hefty frame on top, I will.
My frame
would be sitting heavenly on top.
And that's what I'm saying. You are what you believe you are. If you believe, you can achieve. Just like Nurse Emma Reynolds, who for years knocked on the doors of hospitals, only to be rejected. Those rejections weren't based on intelligence, strength, or a perpetually kind heart. But you continued on, became the first nursing trainee right here at Providence Hospital. And not to mention the best nurse, friend, and mother that any doctor could ever have.
You are still working too hard, and swaying off the subject won't change that. Get some rest, please.
Emma, you'd be surprised at how little rest God requires when you're doing good for people. Besides, Mom, it's early. Let me stay up tonight. Please.
Sounds like it's time for the staff meeting.
Emma, please get the door, all right?
We will continue this conversation later, hopefully before you have a nervous breakdown.
Hello, Miss Reynolds. You're looking lovely today, and you are lovely looking at me. As I was saying, I have just become a member of the most exclusive private club in Chicago. Why, the contacts I've made in just the first day are enough to boost my career 100-fold. This club is so high class that I had to hide the fact that I am working here at Providence thanks to Dr. Williams' insistence that we treat such questionable clientele.
Not to mention the questionable dedication of some of our questionable doctors.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
If we could just get Dr. Williams to listen to reason.
You haven't given him a reason to listen.
That's exactly what I'm trying to... I beg your pardon.
Good morning, good morning. Please take your seats. This will be a brief but very important session.
What did you say?
Now, I want to first reemphasize our push to rid this hospital of lethal infection through cleaning the hospital and scrubbing ourselves thoroughly before operating. Since the official opening of Providence in January of 1891, we've made significant strides at the lowest death rates of any hospital in the entire state of Illinois. This is largely due to our antiseptic practices.
If I may interrupt,
Certainly, Dr. Hall.
instead of discussing washing our hands before dinner, allow me to propose a more important matter, such as the revamping and re-evaluation of our fundraising strategies. Now, I have contacts with
Excuse me, Dr. Hall. As you have clearly stated, funding is an important matter. It deserves more time than we have to offer.
Aren't I allowed to speak to?
It's not a matter of allowance, Dr. Hall. It's a matter of time. There is none. The hospital is dangerously understaffed. Let us make this meeting brief so we can attend to our patients. We will call a meeting on funding in a few days.
Does this mean I cannot be heard?
I think what the doctor's trying to say is,
I am well aware of what he's trying to say, Miss
let's
Reynolds.
be quiet.
I beg your pardon.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Nurse Reynolds, if you can't say something nice about someone, then don't say anything at all.
Dr. Williams, while you spend our valuable time telling us to wash behind the ears, your neglect of funding and politics is a direct threat to the very survival of this institution.
Go ahead and speak, Dr. Hall.
Oh, never mind. I'll bring it up at the next meeting.
Well, before I continue with the matter at hand, let me first remind us all of our miraculous accomplishments. Hospitals have become places where people, especially poor black people, come to wither and die. Here in the 1890s, 90% of all cutting incisions lead to infection. 75% of all abdominal surgeries lead to death. But we changed all of that here at Providence. I recall when we first began this hospital, we went door to door, borrowing furniture, food, and cooking utensils. But our superior doctors more than made up for our lack of adequate medical equipment. Doctors such as Frank Billings, a professor of physical diagnosis, and the Danish surgeon Christian Fager, who was well schooled in the latest German surgical techniques. Providence is one of the few hospitals that offer the poor as well as the rich expert care. Let us not forget, this is largely due to our clean hospitals, clean uniforms, and clean bodies. There are entirely too many surgeons who won't hesitate to operate in street clothes. covered with aprons, smeared with the blood of previous operations. Now, unfortunately, they do wash their hands.
There's more being a doctor than eternally scrubbing one's hands and swabbing carbolic acid all over the place.
There may be, but nothing is more important. Louise Pasteur and Joseph Liston have shown us that the connection between bacteria, dirt, and disease causes germs to spread rapidly, and it can cause death in a very short time.
Pasteur and Lister may have proven this in your mind, Dr. Williams, but there are many prominent physicians who do not agree with their theories. Imagine little green-eyed monsters so small they cannot be seen beating up a 6', 200-pound man.
Ignaz Semmelweis has also shown us that clean wards save lives dramatically.
My God, man! Semmelweis ended up in an insane asylum. I imagine he would see little creatures running around like wolf will suck your blood. This staff might do this hospital better by voting me into a position where I can utilize my circles for the improvement to the facilities here. Otherwise, scrub it to death. I ask you, Dr. Williams, are we doctors or dishwashers? Is Providence a hospital or is it a kitchen?
No, Dr. Hall, Providence is not a kitchen, nor is it a place where Negroes climb social and professional ladders.
I beg your pardon.
Damn you, Dr. D! Emotion is high!
And there's nothing we can do.
Let's go inside.
Don't do this, doctor. Please don't operate on his heart. You can't win. If the surgery is successful, they'll call it a fluke. But if it fails, they'll call you a fluke. You'll be blamed for murdering him. They'll call you incompetent for even attempting an operation so dangerous. And if the director of a hospital is incompetent, how competent can the staff members be? Our enemies will have all the ammunition they need to blow Providence right off the face of the earth. Our brothers will run away like scared rabbits. Don't do this, doctor. Heart surgery has never been tried before, so the chances of this man living are zero anyway. Why risk thousands of dollars? Why risk the life of this hospital for a man who's already dead?
Already dead?
Yeah.
Will remind me if I ever run for office, never to come to you for a vote of confidence, but I'm not. Fact one, a man is dying. Fact two, I will save his life.
Yeah.
Fact three, we are wasting time.
Can you imagine having a man's life and the lives of hundreds of others, depending upon how well you perform? Could a man's hands remain steady under such overwhelming pressure? Well, the operation was a success, and the patient lived to see old age. Amazing. We are constantly portrayed as entertainers, athletes, and derelicts. But our foremost contributions to this world are of the intellect. Okay, machine, Who puts shoes on your feet? That's right. There was an African American who put shoes on your feet. His name was Jan Ernst Matzeliger. But before we peek into his life, let's peek into this book. Multiple effect. Let's speak into this book. Multiple effect evaporation. The Department of Agriculture called it the greatest invention in the history of chemical engineering. Created by a man named Norbert Villiers. Multiple effect evaporation is an ingenious method of processing sugar, goo, soap, milk, and hundreds of other products. Now you mean to tell me that you can't pick up a bar of soap or a glass of milk without thanking a black inventor? That's right, Chump, you can't. Nor can you put on a pair of shoes without thanking Jan Ernst Matzeliger.
Normally, I take baths. See, I got tuberculosis. I got influenza. I'm undernourished, overworked, and nervous. So I might as well be dirty too. Hey, let me tell you a little secret. It's just between you and me. I'm a genius! And I'll tell you something else. There's a piece of me in every country all around the world. From California all the way to Los Angeles. You don't believe a word I'm saying, do you? Well, I'll prove it to you, smarty pants. Excuse me, miss. You got some big feet. Only you can stand about 4 spots. I'll prove to you that I'm a genius. Take off your shoe. Come on, take off your shoe. Oh, forget you then. Who needs you anyway? Now, the shoe has 3 basic parts.
soul, the heel, and the upper. The most important part of making the shoe is connecting the sole to the upper. This is a process known as lasting. See? Told you I was a genius. Excuse me, man. You brought my shoe for me?
Ooh! Get a job, you stinking bum! Jane Ernst Metzeliger, what I can't believe it! How have you been?
Yes, it's been a long time. You still remember me. You must have a photographic memory. Too bad it never developed.
I remember working beside you in the shoe factory. What's a church-going God-fearing man like you doing drunk? You don't drink? Strange. Oh, Metzeliger, I want you to work your fingers to the bone, trying to build the machine that can sew shoes. Imagine a machine that could sew, stretch leather, and at the same time, wrap and fasten it around the sole of a cubic tax. It was impossible. It couldn't be done. You kept locking yourself up in that room night after night without rest, starving because you were too stubborn to buy food. You bought parts for that contraption. How many years did this go on, Jan? Everybody told you it was impossible. It couldn't be done.
You know something? You got everything a man could want. Mustache, muscles, and a strong chest. Hey, your feet so big, you can feel half of her shoes. Hey, you so ugly, she got some nerve talking to me like that. Old enough to be her big brother. You kids got it easy these days. Complaining about homework or an 8-hour job. That's nothing. I came to this country in 1873. I was a mechanic, but I couldn't speak a word of English. So I studied it myself. 2 years, I became what a lot of you are today. I can speak English, but I still couldn't talk. In 1877, I got a job stitching shoes together. And I worked from can't see in the morning to can't see at night. Yeah, you kids got me these days. Back then, racism was legislated. It was against the law for me to go to a different school. So I educated myself. Bought books on biology, physics, and mechanical science. I studied so hard. Yeah, you kids got it easy with your Guess sneakers and your Air Jordan jeans. Oh, You know the price of everything and the value of nothing. Opportunity set right out in front of you. All you gotta do is grab it. But here I am, a real live genius. I'm sick. I'm poor. My doctor told me I had 6 months to live. But I couldn't pay the bill, so he gave me 6 more months. Yes, I nearly to kill myself trying to build a machine that can make shoes. But after 5 years, visiting junkyards, collecting pieces of metal, gears, levers, and cans. After 5 years of sleepless nights, empty stomachs, and empty pockets, I built the laughing machine finally. It revolutionized the shoe industry. It built a multi-billion-dollar business. It made shoes faster and cheaper. Without my machine, shoes would cost $400. Your shoes would cost $800. My machine built the Consolidated Lasting Machine Company. They took my patents to control and own 90% of the shoe industry in the whole world. Look, here comes some of the executives from the company now.
Money, 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 money. Isn't that Chad the one responsible for all of our millions?
So poorly. Let's give him one.
What do you mean? 1 million? 1 million?
No.
Thousand?
No. We'll give him $1.
Jonathan Stoker, in response to your contribution to mankind, we would like to endow you with the grand award of $1.
So the next time you put on a pair of shoes, get down on your hands and knees. And thank God Almighty. And me, because I'm a genius, a legend in my own time.